Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. I'm a Forbes contributor covering social entrepreneurship and impact investing. And today's guest is Kenny Dichter, the CEO and founder of Wheels Up. Kenny, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Devin.
We're thrilled. Now, Kenny, you've been doing some really interesting work. You've got a successful aviation business where you lease planes or you've got a membership program for planes, but
Yeah.
you've applied a special finish to one of your planes. It's a pink plane, and you're using that plane to raise money and awareness for breast cancer. Tell us a little bit about how this program works.
Well, the Devin Breast Center at Mount Sinai Hospital is a cutting-edge institution, and we've had friends and family treated there, and it just moved us to do some cause marketing. We took I don't know if it's ever been done before in private aviation, but we took our blue livery and our white livery and we turned it pink, and we're keeping the pink plane in the fleet indefinitely, and we're raising awareness and we're raising money via pledges. Instead of a walkathon, it's the new walkathon. It's called the flyathon. And we have different partners and different members that are pledging as our pink plane flies the skies of the United States.
So give us a little summary of how does it work. So no one's required to give money, but what triggers their interest and willingness to do that?
Well, the way that we set it up is that we have reached out to our 2,000 members, and they can pledge. Instead of per mile, they can pledge per hour. And the pink plane should fly about 800 revenue hours. So if you pledge $10 an hour, at the end of the year, we'll send you a note, and you would send $8,000 into the Devin Breast Center at Mount Sinai Hospital. You know, if you do the quick math, you get 200 people doing that. 200 times 8,000 is a good number.
Yeah. So how's it going? Are you getting lots of participation from your members?
Say that once more, I'm sorry.
Are you getting lots of participation from your members?
Yeah, the first set of participation was from more of our partners, the folks that fly the planes, the folks that make the planes, Textron Aviation, the law firms, the accounting firms. We got it started with our partners. We're going out to our members really all year long as we communicate in our newsletter, and we're starting to get some great results. So this is something we're going to do for a long time, and we're going to build it big.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I'm really interested, Kenny, in understanding why you chose breast cancer as your cause. Do you have a personal connection to breast cancer?
Yeah, well, you know, it's 1 in 7 in North America. One woman in every 7 is going to have breast cancer in her lifetime. And I think it's affected every family. It's affected mine. It's very personal. But on the other side, it's very professional. There's been many, many women who I've worked with and who work at the Beechcraft Corporation and Textron and Wheels Up that breast cancer has touched. And, you know, we love being we're in social aviation. We should be in some social causes as well.
That's great. Well, give us a little bit of an overview. You've hinted at some of this, but I want to just take a quick tangent to give you a chance to tell us about Wheels Up. Give us a little sense of the history and your membership program.
Sure. Well, I've had some experience in the private aviation space. I learned from the best. Richard Santulli, who founded NetJet, and Warren Buffett, who arguably is the greatest business guy of our time. You know, I'm really proof that anything's possible in America to be in business and learn from guys like that. I learned over 10 or 12 years under NetJet and Marquis Jet, the company I founded in 2001, and we're reapplying all the learning to our new membership, revolutionary membership-based business called Wheels Up. Wheels Up's goal is to further democratize private aviation. So we want to bring it to a larger audience than our previous businesses. How are we doing that? The membership model. Corporations can join for $29,500. It's very reasonable for a company that might be doing 10 or 20 or even 30 million in top line, which is a small business. Individuals can join for $17,500. And then we have a new membership tier called $87.60. which is 24 hours a day times 365 days a year, you get 8760. For $59.50, a person can now join that tier and experience Wheels Up. So once you join, you can fly by the hour. You get access to our apps. The apps give you the empty legs that we produce in our fleet to fly our revenue legs. We now put them online and on the app for our members to take for virtually free. So we're creating some great stuff. Our ride sharing is revolutionary as well. In the old days, a private jet was a private jet. Today, you can put your seats up for sale, or you can propose your seats for other members to take and share the ride.
That's really revolutionary, and I imagine that really significantly can reduce the cost, and of course it has a carbon-friendly impact as a result. So how is the ride sharing going?
The ride sharing is really starting to pick up. I think that with the airline business consolidating, some of the routes like New York, DC, if you walk up, it could be $800 to $1,000 per seat. If you have 4 or 5 people split a King Air 350i, you could be in there for less than a commercial flight.
Yeah, that's a really pretty remarkable pricing. Now, are all of your planes the King Airs, or do you have an assortment of planes?
Well, the big differentiation point that we have in today's market is that we own the King Air exclusively through a partnership with Textron. So imagine 40 years ago, somebody coming up to you and say, hey, we have the Cadillac Escalade, or we have the Range Rover on an exclusive basis in North America. That's really the power of what we have today. And you know, I look at it this way: it's like we have the flying SUV in our fleet. No one else can have that. That's really our big differentiation.
So tell us about the King Air for just a minute. I know a lot of the Forbes audience is interested in these sorts of things. It's not a jet per se. Tell us about it.
The King Air is a turboprop. It's got jet engines, 2 Pratt & Whitney PT6s on it. It's the most iconic airplane in the world. 7,800 have been produced since 1963. 6,700 of those 7,800 are still flying. So it's a Mack truck. The #1 selling business jet of all time is the Citation XL. Happens to be our other airplane in our fleet. Just the chasm between the King Air and the XL, there's been 965 XLs produced versus the 7,800 Kings. So we have the 2 #1s, the #1 turboprop and the #1 jet. We feel like we can't go wrong.
Yeah. And how fast does the Citation Air go? Or the King Air, I mean.
Well, the King Air travels at 380 miles per hour, and the Citation XL at 510. The nice thing is when you go for an hour, because of the way the plane goes up and down, the difference on an hourly flight, even with that speed differential, it's no time. So if we were taking a King Air to Boston and an XL to Boston, we left at the same time, we'd get there at virtually the same time. So anything less than an hour and a half, 2 hours, the King Air is actually the superior airplane from a price perspective and from a carbon footprint perspective.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Well, I want to just get a couple of personal questions with you before you go, because I know time is running short. You're busy, but first, tell us. You know, you're an icon. People look up to you. Who's your role model? Who inspires you?
It's a great question. I have a lot of role models, and I've had a lot of help getting where I am. I would say to all you entrepreneurs out there, go find a role model and grab onto the dorsal fin and don't let go. My first role model is my dad, one of the hardest working guys ever. He's in the film business. He's not Harrison Ford or Sylvester Stallone. He works behind the line, and he's in the sound business, but has worked with some of the greatest directors, the Woody Allens, Francis Ford Coppola, Alan Pakula. I learned one thing from my dad: hard work. My dad was 14 hours a day. We never took vacations. He was at the beck and call of these directors and producers to make their products. So that was my first exposure with a person, and hard work was my dad. You know, I've had incredible role models. Richard Santulli, who founded the fractional aviation space, created NetJets. I got exposure to Warren Buffett, again, proof that anything is possible in America. A gentleman named Bob Sillerman bought my first company, Alphabet City, in 1998. Bob is still a great friend and a mentor, one of the biggest and best media entrepreneurs that ever was. And then way back, my first mentor really in business was Barry Alvarez. Barry was the coach of Wisconsin football. I will disclaim I didn't play for him, but I became his CMO, his marketing director, while I was a student at the University of Wisconsin. Barry's the athletic director now. He's one of the most successful football coaches to ever coach. And I count him as my second dad. So he's been a great mentor to me. And one thing that he taught me was don't flinch. When everything's going wrong and you're drinking from a fire hose, just don't flinch. Just stay the course. Tom Brady also gave me some great business advice. He said, stay in the pocket, which is, again, same principle. When everybody's coming at you, just wait to that last second to release the ball, and that's when you're going to be successful.
It's great counsel, great counsel. Well, listen, in that vein, I like to ask everyone who comes on the show to give us an impact hack, some way that allows us to do more good. And I think that's what we all have in common, a desire to do more good in the world. What's your impact hack?
I would say that, I really come to work at this point in my career to actually help others. I'm in the service business. I'm in the hospitality business. So I help people get from A to B for my living. But the truth is, I think that when you get to a place as an entrepreneur, as a business person, when you have what you need, really I'm working for everybody else at this point in time. I got a lot of young people in my business that I'm trying to mentor along. And then on top of that, I think that all entrepreneurs and all business people that are successful, they have a larger responsibility to the culture to give back and to make life better for everybody around them. And I like to think of what we do, every trip we fly, every member that we sign up, that ultimately there's a percentage of good that gets done because that transaction happens. And I think you have to, it's not about building palaces around the world. It's not about a fleet of cars. I don't want to have a Ferrari collection. I'd rather have a wing at a hospital. So that's my mantra.
Well, I think that's a great lesson for us to remember. Now, Kenny, before you go, please tell us how people can learn more about your pink airplane, how they can learn more about helping with breast cancer, and how they can learn more about Wheels Up.
Well, it's very simple. First thing you do is you can go to wheelsup.com and learn everything you need to go. You have Google today. You can Google Wheels Up. You can Google Kenny Dichter. You might get a good life lesson on what you could do with a 1050 on the SATs and a 2.8 at Wisconsin, which means, again, everybody out there that's not a Mensa genius, you got a shot if you work hard. Lastly, I would say, you can go to the App Store, and we have our two apps. One is the Wheels Up app, and the other is the 8760 app. There's a nice little discover and preview on both the apps, and you can do it there. The old-fashioned way too. I think I'm still in the phone book. So if you want to reach out, I'm probably still in there.
Fantastic. Well, Kenny, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you every luck, every success in curing cancer.
I appreciate that. I've been reading Forbes since I was a little kid. My dad used to have a subscription. On the back of the book, there was quotes that were actually from the Forbes family and famous people. I used to read those quotes, and there was one famous one from Forbes. I'll give my Forbes plug. When two partners in business always agree, then one of them isn't necessary.
Great reminder. Great reminder. Well, thanks, Kenny. We thank you for being here with us today.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And again, everybody on this podcast, you're one deal away from being a Wheels Up member. Keep firm.
All righty. Let's do some good.